Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right. Here we are at Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Bill, you took an extra deep breath before that.
Figured I'd do something different.
That was like Luciano Pavarotti. That was amazing.
I was doing my math this morning.
Yes.
We're at episode number 160. If there's 52 weeks in a year, that means we've been doing this over 3 years. Emma brings up a valid point because we keep them in a little notebook, the titles.
Yeah.
And she was going through them this morning and she says, Dad, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Huh? So I'm very proud, and you should be too, because you've been with me every episode with the exception of a few Bahama trips here and there.
Yes, right.
Which we will just completely pretend like that didn't happen.
Hey, you look close to my shirt, you'll see little gray palm trees. It's hard to see, but yeah, little ones.
Yeah?
Very subtle.
Okay. All right, well, no more vacations, Peter.
I know, I only had one.
We got work to do.
Yeah, I know we have for vacation 3 days workshop here, 3 days workshop there.
Exactly. On how to buy more houses.
Advanced training for professionals.
Advanced trainings for professionals.
We're in the upper elite of the upper, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're something, that's for sure.
Rubbing elbows with okay.
Episode number 160. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Idiot proof. No offense.
Hey,
I'm talking about me.
This is not just for me. You're talking to
the listeners. I'm talking about me.
Nah, it's fine.
Idiot proof strategies to find hot real estate deals easily. Often, Peter, I get asked if I had to give a close family member advice on how to successfully get into the flipping houses for income business, what would I tell them? So because this comes up a lot, I thought we should cover what my best advice is after doing over 200 deals. I mean, at this point, it's probably 300. We just haven't counted. Mm-hmm. And at least that many for my coaching clients and my other students. I mean, you know me, I'm always on support tickets and stuff like that, and I'm always helping people make deals, which I'm known for, or have become known for, my generosity. Not only my deal structuring, but my generosity of helping people.
I'm driving around with you in the car, and you're not talking to me at all. You're on the phone with somebody else. I get 3 sentences in, just excuse me, and you're on the phone with somebody in Sandusky, Ohio.
There you go. So in test after test with these real estate investors, I have noticed, and by a far margin, this is not some little light thing that I'm saying here. I've noticed by far margin that the folks who figure out deal hunting and finding the hot real estate deals in their area, by far it's exceed and make the most amount of money when starting out. Incidentally, Peter, I know this is just the description right now, but incidentally, these people that I'm talking about are not usually the best negotiators. Right?
Why am I laughing?
They're not good at deal structuring. In fact, most of them don't even understand the deal structuring. Most of them get stuck on the slot deal and don't know the rest.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. They don't have money to do their deals.
Well, that's why we're doing this, Bill.
And they don't have credit to get money. They're usually a financial disaster.
Looking for a way out.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, not any of that stuff.
No, so you want to go from the bottom to the top.
They just got good at finding an amazing deal that no one else found. That's it. Which means it's a no competition world when making those offers. Right? To these motivated sellers.
Yeah.
It puts even the most greenest investor on solid ground when turning real estate into consistent income. And I got to tell you that I can't even explain it because obviously, I mean, I'm not bragging, and there are people out there that do a lot more than what I do. You know, like Ron LeGrand has a lot more students, but I don't think he has the interaction that I have. You know, these guys, you know, Kiyosaki, Fan Merrill.
Well, at least Robert shows up. No, I mean, Ron LeGrand shows up at events. Robert Kiyosaki's back in Hawaii or someplace better. The other guys, I mean, they're not there. They call it their event, and they're not there.
What's his name? Dean Graziano or Graziosi or whatever his name is. He's a cool guy. I had a speaker that used to work for me he lives in Arizona, and we used to do a seminar 40 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So we traveled quite a bit. And Dean would fly with my speaker quite a bit because they would leave out of the airport. We would be going to different cities to do seminars like the same time. So he got to know him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But my claim to fame is that they don't have as much interaction as I do with my listeners and with my students and coaching clients and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's one of the complaints that we hear from people who've tried other systems. You know, the system might not be bad, and it's a system. Right. But if you can't get help, if you can't get support, if you can't talk to the guys, if they're 1,500 miles away or not accessible by the phone, what good is it? You know, gold that you can't get a hold of, they ain't good. It's not good at all.
Because I do a lion's share of my income comes from real estate. I mean, I make money off the other stuff, but a lion's share of it comes from real estate. But you know what, Pete? Let's get started. One of the craziest things in the world when new students or struggling students, because I get both. I don't just get new students. I get guys that have been doing it for a while and have been struggling.
Yeah.
Come up to me and they want to talk about these things. Right? You ready?
Yeah.
They want to talk about deal structuring. They want to talk about contracts. That's a big one. The contracts. Right? Finding money. They want to talk about finding money.
Yep.
Right? They want to talk, once they get going and they start doing some of the things I'm talking about, the next thing I get is how to talk to sellers. Right? Then a big one is that I never understood because it's so not on my radar. Not on my radar. But it's on everybody else's, so I have to talk. In fact, I wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's knowing how much to pay for the house.
Oh, well, sure.
Right? Et cetera, et cetera. Here's what I hear. Here's what I hear when I hear those things. I hear boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Feel sorry for me. Give me all the information because that's what I need. And to me, it's like little Max. How old is Max, Emma?
1 year and 3 months.
Is he? 15 months? And he cries. And I tell him when he cries, Max, if you're going to do this around your grandfather, you have to do it the right way. Use tears. Otherwise, it's whining. Stop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? If you have pain and you smash your finger, use tears.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get away from me.
So that's how we can tell if it's real or not.
Yeah.
Wah. Okay.
Now, I understand, and I'm on a rant at this point, I understand that all of those things can be a bit tough to figure out when you're entering into this arena. I totally get that. Okay? Because that's what you've been trained, mostly by the bankers.
Yeah.
And the real estate people, the ones that make the fees. So we're completely controversial to all of that. We're not conspiracy theorists or anything like that. It's just that doing it the old-fashioned way before the realtors and the, as I call the real estate mafia, came on the scene.
Hey, what are you trying to say?
Yeah. To me, it's like this, Pete. It's like a 5 or 6 year old kid, right, saying to their mom, I need to know what it's like to be in high school or in college before I go into kindergarten. That's what it's like to me.
Well, isn't that the definition of anxiety?
Yeah. Anxiety is not knowing the future.
Yeah, and worrying about it. I mean, and to some degree, it's okay to have some plans for the future. But if you're so worried about the future, you're not taking care of today, you're not going to get there.
Right.
So to calm down a little bit and just.
To me, it's too steep of a gradient.
Yeah.
Okay, which is actually a big barrier for learning. I mean, if you're going to be an auto mechanic and you can't like fix a lawnmower or know anything about a lawnmower, then how are you going to fix an 18-wheeler?
Right.
It's too steep of a gradient. Like you need to figure out the basics, like the one little single single piston engine as opposed to the 12 piston engine.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just too steep of a gradient. So to me, when I hear deal structuring and contracts and, you know, finding money and sellers, it's like, just to me, it's too steep of a gradient.
Well, you know what I noticed when I first started years ago? One of the important things to do learning anything, you have to do it in sequence. And they don't teach it in sequence.
Right.
So I came home with piles of books with all of those on the table at the same level of, here, it's in your face. And didn't even have it like spread out. Wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just that.
So we
Right?
can't explain this to our listeners because they have no idea how we operate behind the scenes unless they watch us on Facebook. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We do. I have notes that I wrote.
Yeah.
And you do not read those notes.
No.
Okay. But we end up having this happens all the time. Because,
Did I just say the next paragraph?
So yeah. So it's kind of like like a lot of philosophers talk about be, do, have, right?
Yeah. Be, then do, then have. Yep.
And there's an order, just like what you're talking about. So there's an order, right?
Yep.
Be, do, have.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to give me an example here. I have to come up with. Suppose you want to be like, I'm thinking of a clown in a circus. You want to be the best clown in the country. Well, you have to start with being a clown. Like, I am a clown. This is who I am. Recognize me.
Right.
And then you have to do things that a clown will do to have the status of being the best clown in the world.
Because you can have whatever, money, status, recognition, love.
Right. So if you want to have something, you need to back it up to what do I have to do? What do I have to be?
What do I have to learn? What do I have to practice?
So here's what I have found is most of these guys I talk to are trying to mix it up. They're trying to have before they can do.
Well, come on.
They're out of order.
Well, in all honesty, that's what we think first. I want to have a lot of money from real estate. What should I do? And they start at the end, don't we?
Yeah, but then
in
they
our
come back to me
minds.
and they want to figure out the deal structuring and they want to figure out the contracts and they're like, all right. So it's against natural laws to want to have before you can do. So they want to have the contracts. They want to have the words. They want to have this before they can go talk to the customer.
Yeah.
It's completely out sequence. It's like I don't know, wanting to have a fish.
Yeah.
And having a tank and having no water.
Yeah.
It's like, how's that going to happen?
How about the guy that comes out of American Idol? He can't even get past the judge and he comes out crying. I want to start out in life rich and famous. I want to reach through the screen and bitch smack him. Come on.
Well, I don't watch that stuff, so I'm sorry you do too. The only time that I watched that is the other night I was watching it. I came home. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I came strolling in, right? And my wife's watching it. And like I sat down because I was tired.
Yeah.
Right? And anyways, long story short, they had the whole thing on The Bachelor where they got married and everything, or we're going to get married. He gave her an engagement ring, and then the next episode was he was cheating on her the whole time. It's like, get away from me.
Yeah, no, I don't watch that one.
So we're going to get to the list in a minute because I have a list of things to marketing ideas.
Okay.
So, but once you realize, let's get back on track here. Once you realize that the underlying causes or the lack of success in anything, especially in real estate, is you have to see the do's and the don'ts. And you have to be clear, like, this is good, this is bad.
Yeah.
Right? And what I have had is the most fortunate ability to have so many communications, so many people from all over the country and sometimes out of the country, between support tickets and Facebook and phone conversations and meetups, and I feel extremely, extremely, extremely fortunate to have all of that communication. And what that does for me is it gets me, it gives me the ability to see, by dealing with so many of these people, old or new, some of them are experienced, some are not. in the real estate investment business, a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
One, once my students find a motivated seller, right, you need very little tech training to get through the deal.
Mm-hmm. The guy's motivated. You don't have to convince him.
Right.
Mm.
The seller allows you to make mistakes, fumble, not have snap answers, and go get advice. They allow you to, make mistakes. They allow you to do things that you think they would never allow.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, they don't care if it's your first deal. As long as you're solving their problem, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
If you're relieving them of the payment or you're doing something that nobody else could seem to do, they actually think it's a good thing that you're new because they're like, oh, look at this stupid fool. Look what he's going to do.
Yeah.
It's actually an advantage. I wish I could go back to those days often because then I could pull off some real good stuff because they think that you're new and they're getting away with something.
Oh, just send me in.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
No, it's true though. It's true. I mean, if they, you don't want to look slick. I mean, do you want to drive up to a prospect's house in a wicked brand new Mercedes?
No.
No.
With a $300 suit on.
No, it gives the wrong image. Like, this guy's too sharp. He's going to rip me off. Forget it. I mean, if you look like a little green, they say, well, maybe he won't be won't beat me up or something.
To get off topic just for 2 seconds, exactly what you're talking about. I volunteered at church about 20 or 25 hours a week, and I put way more work in there than I do here. You know that because you're part of the church and you get all that. I actually had to have a talking to because I arrive in blue jeans, and they told me that I needed to be dressed professionally. So I rebutted with, I don't get it. They're like, well, you have to. It's one girl that doesn't like blue jeans. That's what it is, and I know exactly who it is, right? I point blank rebutted with, I don't get it. I do millions of dollars worth of business. Are you saying I'm not professional? And they didn't know what to say. So okay, that's fine. I won't wear blue jeans when I go to the church. However, the last several events that we've had, I've done a personal survey to realize that 2/3 of our parishioners either wear shorts or blue jeans. They don't get it. They have some idea of what they should look like, and they're not matching what the public thinks. So just what you're saying, you drive up with a Mercedes, $100,000 Mercedes with a $300 suit on, you're too slick.
Yeah.
They're waiting for you to scam them. Right? You see me when I go out to do deals. Sometimes I go out with shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
I don't advise that.
No, well,
and I got a cigar, and I got my sunglasses on, and we're standing out in the yard, and we're just talking shit.
Yeah, but when you really know what you're doing, that takes precedence over the look.
Right.
If you're really green and fumbly, you might use a little better look just to balance that out a little bit. I go in the middle because I'm in the middle of both. So
now the second thing that I've noticed by talking to all these people is now that you have gone through the entire process, because once you find a motivated seller and you go through the process, now you've gone through the entire process, you know what to look for on your other deals because you have a better idea of the ideal scene. Yeah. Right? And what better training than on-the-job training that you're getting paid for? Yeah. I mean, when you find a motivated seller and you go through the deal and they're giving you equity or paying you money or you're getting money now or money monthly or money later and you're learning why you're doing it, what better way to do that? Which brings me to number 3. And number 3 of my list here that I made is, so now you made money from your deal. You have enough money to go hire somebody for the training. Yeah. I don't believe in spending $50,000 to see if something works. I'll spend 5, 10, whatever that is, something. But I want to see that working for me. Right. I want to practice with it and take advantage of it and learn something. But more important, take the money out of it. More important than that, now that you've done the deal, right? It'll be easier for you to decide what's important to learn and what's not important to learn, because what happens is if you don't do it this way, right, what happens is when you're learning, everything is important to you.
Yeah, and if you don't know any better, maybe everything...
Because you don't know the do's and the don'ts because you haven't experienced going through a deal yet. Yeah. You don't know the do's and the don'ts yet.
Yeah.
Right? So you're trying to either memorize or learn everything, and you go on information overload. And it doesn't stick anymore. And I'm going to tell you, and I don't want you to rant about this because I know you will if I let you.
Oh, I don't get to rant? Wait a minute. Back up.
No,
how come
because
I
we don't
get
have
to
enough
rant?
time. Because we don't have enough time to do this.
Bill gets all the rant time.
No. Because I'm ranting about the topic. You're going to rant about the not topic. Okay?
I'll keep it on topic.
The true definition of education is the application of what you learned. Mm-hmm. Right? That's a true definition. It's not whether you get a good grade on a test. It's not whether or not. It's whether you apply what you learn. Right. So a good test for an auto mechanic is here. You've been through 3 years worth of school or 3 months or whatever. Here's a broken car. Make it run.
Yeah, fix it.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a true test of an engineer. Build a bridge.
Sure.
Right. Or put up a building. Now, obviously, he's going to need to be mentored on something like that. Internship. Right?
Sure.
But that's the true test. So why are we not doing this in real estate? Why are we not putting people through these internships? And it's very simple to do. Just find a motivated seller in your area, and there's your internship.
That's right. Practice.
Right?
Work on it.
Now, is that going to be your best deal? Is that going to be your most profitable deal? Are you going to completely screw it up? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But get it the hell out of the way.
Yeah, but what are you going to learn more from reading a book or doing that?
Right.
Or at least 50-50. I mean, how much can you learn from just reading or just studying, just looking or just walking around? My favorite, walking around at conferences and not buying anything. Just walking around. We see those guys. They show up and they walk around.
Right.
Nah.
So, done my way, you'll know which information is important and which information is not important. So when you go buy your training, you'll get more out of it because you'll have experienced it and you'll actually have seen it. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're not talking to the farmer about a tractor that he's never seen.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's the way it is. So now you've seen it, you know, I want this kind of tractor, I want that kind of tractor because I know what kind of work I'm going to do.
Do you think some people just keep buying courses because they just can't confront doing it?
Oh, possibly. Or they just don't, they can't, they have misunderstoods or they it's too steep of a gradient. I mean, there's, who knows?
Yeah.
You know that stuff better than I do. All right. So enough of that. We're 22 minutes in, rant over. Let's get into some of the good, juicy stuff that they're waiting for. So it comes down to this. So how do you find a motivated seller? It's going to come down to how do you find these hot deals? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry I took 20 minutes of everybody's time here, but honestly, if you get what we were just talking about, it will change your life because you just go do a deal. Mm-hmm. Especially if you do any one of the slot deal, option deal, lease option deal, or getting the deed deal. Yeah. And if you don't know what those are, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff and watch the videos.
Mean the ones that don't cost $10,000, $20,000, $40,000 to buy?
They could. I could put them behind a membership and get a lot of money for them.
No, I mean when you buy the house, just to get into the house and do the deal doesn't cost thousands of dollars.
So it comes down to what the great Dan Kennedy, who's a marketing guru, says about matching your market with your message.
Bill, you know what? Mm-hmm. He's been showing up my Facebook feed lately.
Good for him.
I don't know how he showed up on my Facebook. I'm getting like buy some books and things. That's the guy you use. He's on my Facebook. Yeah. How crazy.
I've studied him for years.
Yeah.
If you match your message with your market, this is not some hype. This is not some, I don't know. This is real, honest to God, truth stuff. Mm. If you really do a good job of matching your message to your market, business will literally fall in your lap. If you outflow enough. Mm. Okay? So, this list that I'm about to give you, okay, because I can go in, I could talk probably for a day and a half. I could talk for days on marketing because I mean, I'm constantly buying stuff. In fact, I'm a little bit nervous at this point because now it's gotten down to the books that I buy are like $1,000.
Jesus.
Right? They're no longer these are not courses. These are not like training courses with CD. These are just a 300-page book.
Mm-hmm. Why is it so much?
Because I'm way underground with these guys.
I mean, are these new books or just things you
Some
can't
of them
find?
are. Some of them from Ben Seidel. Some of them are. I go in my spare time. I go on eBay and find books that are printed like in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and that stuff still works. The theory and the philosophy, and you have to realize back then, they don't have the advantages we have now. They did everything with direct mail. It was all their correspondence was done through the mail, so it was expensive for them to back then, make copy and then print it. The printing presses were different, and then actually mail it because they didn't have the mail system we have now. I mean, it was expensive for them to do any kind of direct mail. So their research and their study was phenomenal. Right?
They can't do it by oversupply or like quantity. They had to have some quality in there.
They can't put something on Facebook and wonder if it's going to work.
Yeah.
So, the good and the bad of that is back then there was less of it happening. So the consumer had less inundation, right?
Spam, junk mail.
Yeah. Nowadays it's because it's so easy. You get so much more of it. And so now it's gotten even harder because, you have to get people's attention, right? Okay. Now, just some theory behind that is that, anybody that does any marketing, whether it's for this business or any other business, this is a very important datum. 60% of what you mail or 60% of your marketing is who you're talking to. Your list. They call it your list. In direct marketing, they call it your list, right? 20% is your message. 20% is what you say.
Right.
Okay. So when I'm going to give you this list, I've done the research. You have to realize I've spent $7,000 to $9,000 a month for years with my partner, 6 or 8 years. So I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on trying stuff. Because back in the day, and I'm talking 5 years ago or 8 years ago, back in the day, we'd have to spend between $1,000 and $1,500 in advertising to buy a house.
Mm-hmm. To get a lead,
to get a closed house.
Yeah, to find it.
So
close
it's like
it,
we'd send out so many pieces of mail, or send out $7,000 to $9,000 worth of marketing to get so many phone calls, to call through them, make appointments, make offers to buy a house. Was $1,000 to $1,500 per house. Nowadays, I don't think it's that much money. It's nowhere near that much money. So I don't want to spook anybody because nowadays is much different. But my point that I'm making, when I go through this list that's only got 8 things on it, I'm going to tell you that you should not take it lightly. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of testing behind what I'm going to teach you. And I'm doing it on a free podcast.
And you're saying what to do and then not to do the other stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So it all comes down to the message to market match, which is what I've already done for you. Okay. So the list is in order by the best message to market match to the least message to market match.
Can we do an example of that for folks? I was in New York yesterday and museum, and there was a nice exhibit I went to see, musical something or other. And at 3 o'clock, when I was done going out with my friend, everybody was jammed at the door because it was pouring.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the stairs, there was a guy
with umbrellas.
Rack umbrellas. But the trouble was they wouldn't let him come up the building. He had to be at the bottom, and it was like 50 feet to get to him. But he had the right thing. Umbrellas, umbrellas, $5.
Right.
So that's
exactly right. That's a message to market match.
Yeah, I was going to go buy 10 of them for the price of 5 and go back upstairs.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that the reason why that worked is because yesterday here in New England, it was literally 90 degrees and blue skies and completely sunny. Until about 3 o'clock or 3:30, and the storm whisked through.
Yeah.
And in 10 minutes, it was dark and raining and completely the opposite. So nobody brought an umbrella because it was not like.
Well, some of us have the foresight to read the damn map, the AccuWeather on the phone, and look at what happens hour to hour. Some of us.
All right, here we go. Number 1 on the list. Finding hot deals. The most conducive message to market match is calling for sale by owners. And why is that? So,
it's amazing that you have to explain that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so think of it this way. We are, if you're on this podcast and you're listening to me, and when I say we are, I mean you and I are professional, creative real estate investors. What that means is our complete philosophy runs around the methodology of buying a piece of property for the least amount of down payment necessary. And it's not because we have money or don't have money. It's because sooner or later, even if you got $10 million, you're going to run out of money or run out of resources to buy property. So the best thing to do is to network or matchmake, as I say, matchmake the money with the deals. And that will allow you to go much further in life than buying it with your own money. So even if you do have $10 million, you should not use the $10 million. I didn't write this down. In fact, I'm going to kind of go off on another rant. What time is it? 31. Okay, so I'm going to go off on another rant here. A couple podcasts ago, I talked about if you had $20,000 available to you, right, how would you use it? A not so savvy creative investor, now I just gave you the definition of creative investing, would use that $20,000, buy a $100,000 house, put 20% down, he'd have one house worth $100,000, right? As you go up the scale, the other thing that you could do is instead of using $20,000 for a down payment, you could use $10,000 for a down payment and buy 2 houses worth $200,000.
Yep.
Or you could buy, the next step I went up to was you can buy 4 houses at $5,000 down payment and have 4 houses worth $400,000.
That's right.
So what's the difference between the first guy and the third guy? It's his creative real estate investment knowledge. Unless you're me, who's a complete freak, okay, and I know that because even my mother tells me that, okay?
Oh, she should know.
Yeah. Take that $20,000 and spend it on marketing, and suppose you were to spend $1,000 per house to find a house, which I just told you is not the case anymore. You could then buy how many houses?
Well, you're not putting a big down payment. You're doing like $100 option,
right,
roughly on each house. Then you could buy. I mean, it's almost unlimited, as many as you could find almost.
Well, if you spend $1,000,
just
and
to
had
find
$20,000, how many houses
sure,
is that?
20.
20 houses, right?
And you have to come up with $100 each for an option, or 50 if that's all you have left.
So now you got $2 million worth of real estate for the same $20,000, because we were creative and were able to use that $20,000 for marketing, not to buy houses.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're in the marketing business, not in the house business.
Right, because we're finding people that will not require us to put 20% down.
Right.
There's houses that you can do that for $100. And I mean, I bought a condo for no money down.
Right.
And 2 months later started payments. So,
right.
I mean, it can be done.
Right.
And it's not like, and I wasn't that good. I was really the guy, this was like 2 years ago, almost more than 2 years ago. And I just had a motivated seller because I don't know what I was doing.
Right.
I had you come up to like fact check me, and you sat there, and I kept trying to sell the guy. I said, "Pete, stop. He's done."
Yeah, we sat down. We sat down, and the guy asked a couple questions, and Pete's still in the pitch mode.
Yeah, I'm still.
And I
selling.
looked at him and I said, "Can you stop talking now?"
Yeah.
He's already ready. We just need to answer some questions, and he'll sign the paperwork. And the guy said, "Yeah, I'm ready."
Yeah, he said yes to everything else, but I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. So, sure, but that's the difference.
So going back to the list, so when you're talking to for sale by owners, right? Think of it this way. They're for sale by owner for a reason. Because there's really only 2 ways to sell real estate in our society right now. It's either you go to a realtor or an agent, or you do it on your own.
Yeah.
Until you find a guy like us, which we're evolving. The difference between us and a real estate agent is the agencies were formed into associations and organizations and put some rules and regulations to it, and they were organized in 1950.
Mm-hmm.
So they've made it this far. So that's why they're so big, is because they've been organized.
They banded.
Us investors have not been organized. We're too scattered. We're too dispersed. People don't know where to find us. We're like in our home offices, and nobody knows what we do. Like, we walk around in society, and people don't know who we are, what we do.
Yeah.
But we're making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have a short name like a realtor. We have longer
Right.
name.
Right.
Yeah.
So a for sale by owner is a for sale by owner because, number one, they don't want to pay fees. Mm-hmm. Number two, they may not have enough money in the deal to pay fees.
Yeah.
Or the closing costs.
Mm-hmm. They don't have enough equity.
Right. Or number three, they're just greedy.
I love those. Those are quick hang-ups. Like, okay, never mind.
The point is that if you are on the side of the for sale by owner and help them with their transaction, then you will get a lot further than the agent will, because the agent has the apparency to help them with their deal. But in essence, the only thing you're hiring a real estate agent for is to find the buyer, not to consult you on the transaction. And that's a big misnomer in our society, is that realtors are believed to be a consultant to walk you through the deal, and they are not.
Nope.
They're only there to find the buyer. And unfortunately for the seller, the only way they know how to do that is through the MLS, the multiple listing service. So they have this unbelievable network that they've all put together,
mm-hmm.
which has made the realtor more powerful in the last 20 years or 15 years since the internet, is they put it on the multiple listing service, and they can attract agents from all over. Right? We don't have that service. We don't have that ability. There is services popping up like that now. I've seen them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them. In fact, I just talked to somebody about them a couple weeks ago, and I've just not had time to go spend time on it. But there will be platforms that will do that. For sale by owner sites are a lot of them. So all I'm saying is this, that out of the message to market match, if you can't get a bank loan, or you don't have credit to go to the bank and get a loan, or don't want to go to the bank and get a loan to buy real estate, you're automatically trumped into being a creative real estate investor. So if you're going to be a creative real estate investor, the first place you should go is for sale by owners, because they are an exact match for what you're looking to do. They'll be willing to do terms deals, which means you pay monthly until you can pay them off. They'll be willing to sell you pretty houses, because that's where you should be, is in the pretty house business, not the ugly house business. Because pretty house businesses, you could make fees as low as $3,000, as high as $100,000 or more if you're in bigger houses, right? And never put more than $100 deposit in the deal. Okay, I've got a coaching client that just signed a contract last week for a $945,000 house. She gave the guy $100.
Yep.
And she's out selling a house right now. Right? And it's completely legal. She doesn't need a license. None of that.
Yeah. Okay,
just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff and watch the videos, and you'll get it. Right?
Yep.
The only other thing I want to say before I move on to number 2 is calling. That word calling.
Call on the phone?
Calling.
And talking to somebody?
Is not.
Do you know how dangerous that is?
Is not something that most people consider to be fun. Let's put the word cold calling in front of it. Yeah, exactly. So first thing I want to say is if somebody's advertising their house on a free for sale by owner site, or paying they want you to call.
They're trying to sell the house?
Yeah.
They're
looking for calls. That's why they put their phone number on the website.
I know you have some of your calls available. Can you have more of your calls available? Because I thought I'm getting pretty good at it. I can be friendly, but you get on a phone and you just start with like, "Hi, is this John? John, you got a house for sale? Geez, I'm looking for one. You got one? That's fabulous. Can I talk to you about it?" Or you something crazy like that. Like, Am I bothering you? Are you fishing or something? Oh man, I wish I was fishing. Where are you?
Hey.
Are you on a boat?
Hey.
Damn, you're on a boat and I'm in my basement. Why are you on a boat and I'm in the basement? And you do that on the phone and they just start having fun with you.
Client, a guy that's told me he was going to sign up for coaching like 2 weeks ago. So I called him yesterday and he answered the phone. I said, Tony! He's probably listening.
Yeah.
So he'll
hey,
send
Tony!
I said, Tony! He goes, what? I said, God damn it, I thought you died and I was going to have to come to Pennsylvania for a freaking funeral. It's a good thing you picked up the phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he started laughing because he's like, because he didn't call me back.
One of the first things I notice about like some of your coaching students or some of the people that come to the meetups, when they heard one of your phone calls, they were like, that's how you talk to people? Because they have no idea to think like, hello, this is Mr. Williams calling from the bank about your house. Right. It's not like that. Right. It's friendly. Just be calm and nice and talk to people.
All right. So if for some reason you can't get past this, okay, which, by the way, I talk about last month in the meetup, the last 2 months in the meetup, I talked about this in extensive view. I'm not going to do it here because we definitely don't have time because we're 40 minutes in, okay? So if you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com, top right-hand side, it says courses. We actually have a new service now where you can, if you're not from Connecticut, you can go and watch the meetups for a couple bucks a month. Mm-hmm. Okay, so all the meetups are there, or a bunch of meetups are there. And in the meetups, I tend to definitely do things I don't do on the podcast because I want to reward the people for being in the room. So we tend to give them a lot more, information. Plus, there's only, between 20 and 45 people, 20 and 40 people there. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this many people is going to like change the real estate business because I'm giving them my inside secrets. But
yeah, like they all do what you say.
Yeah, exactly. But the point I'm talking about is texting.
Uh-huh.
So if you're worried about calling, my students have been texting these for sale by owners a specific way, and what they do is they actually warm up the conversation, and then when they get on the phone with them, it's like they're old friends, and it's been amazing. I mean, I don't do it anymore because I had to stop doing it, and I'm going to turn it into a course actually because people ask me too much about it. Mm-hmm. I don't do it because we're too freaking busy. Because I'll text 25 people, and I'll get 20-something responses, and I'll spend 45 minutes just responding to people, and then next thing I know, I'm on the phone with somebody, and next thing I know, I've got an appointment or two.
Yeah, but like 6 are left by the wayside, roughly.
All the texting does is pre-screen the idiots.
Yeah.
So what happens is you have a communication without the emotion. And you don't get your feelings hurt because what hurts your feelings is the emotion. It's not the words. It's the emotion that hurts your feelings.
That's right.
Right?
And you don't feel it's a cold call anymore because they contacted you.
Right. Yeah, they responded.
So in your own mind, like, well, they're calling me, so I guess it's okay now.
Right. So by far the quickest, fastest way is to call for sale by owners. Mm-hmm. Now go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff. The scripts are there. There's examples there. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. The second way, and these are in order by the way that we actually do them. Mm-hmm. Direct mail. My yellow letters. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into this because I have a whole course called the Yellow Letter Course. Or if you want to know all of these, like tactics, how I do all of them, we have a course called Attracting Motivated Sellers. Mm-hmm. So if you go on the website, they're all there. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're hot to trot and you need help or something like that, then send me a support ticket and I'll do something. I'll give you some discount or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because I'm not here to sell you something. I'm just here to let you know that it's there. So direct mail. The best thing that we do is handwritten letters on yellow legal paper in an invitation size envelope, and we mail to out-of-area owners. So basically, those are all kinds of people. Those are burnt-out landlords. Those are people, accidental landlords, somebody that bought a house, couldn't sell it because the realtor couldn't perform. They didn't know who we were, and they ended up putting somebody in there just to cover the mortgage so they can move on to their next property. We get a lot of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Out of area used to be out of state, but we found that what happens is you could have somebody live on one side of town and have a house on the other side of town and have different zip codes.
Right.
So-
Or it could be the same zip code but a different address. The point is we're looking for people who don't live in the house.
Right.
So for some reason they're not in there, and it's either, yay, I'm making money, or Jesus, this is a pain in the neck.
I do not. Get this. I
You do
not buy those lists.
Mm-hmm.
I do not go to a service like Melissa Data or any one of those services and buy them. I don't believe that those lists are scrubbed enough.
Oh.
If you can't do it the way I do it, which is very simple, we actually go to the town hall, we get the grand list, and we sort it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go over that because, again, we don't have enough time. But in my How to Attract Motivated Sellers and in the yellow letter course for sure, we show you how to do that.
Yeah, it's not
Okay?
complicated.
It's not hard at all.
And they're very helpful. They do this all the time. It isn't some weird ass thing that people ask and they go, okay, what do you? And they just give it to you.
Emma was
or
busting my
sometimes
chops
it's a couple
about
of
it the other
bucks,
day.
but there's not much. There's sometimes a few bucks to pay for it for
Right.
their administrative fee.
Emma was busting my chops about it the other day because she's
Really?
like, Dad, I think this is funny. So why is that? She says, because when you first started and you came out with the video on like how to sort the names, right? Your video was like 5 minutes long. I'm like, yeah, that's all it needs to be. And then Jessie came along because she was doing it, and her video was like 25 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Emma did it now, sometime later, and of course a lot of support tickets later. She says, and mine is 55 minutes long because I like showed everything that you can do because of all the support tickets, like click on this green button, do this, do that. And she completely, utterly, absolutely broke it down to every minute little thing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had that training, and it's not meant to make you like go buy it or anything like that. But I mean, I don't know how else to do it.
Well, Bill, honestly, what we do is because we have meetings, we go to places and train people or do, the meetings, and they ask us, how do you do that? Well, exactly. Well, we can't want to come over to my house tomorrow for 2 hours and I'll show you. We can't.
Right.
So we've made courses because they've asked. We've had workshops because they've asked.
Right.
I mean, I've said this before, but I remember the guy sitting in your meetup like 4 months in, almost in tears, like, can you show us exactly how to do this step by step? Because they need to know, like, what do I do first, second, third? So we have those.
Yeah, if it wasn't for you pounding me to do that, then we wouldn't have all this stuff that we have because it was totally you that did that.
I don't even remember doing that, but that sounds like
you were telling me that this guy's crying. I mean, the stories you're telling me, and and I just took it off from there. Anyways,
yay me.
My point is this: direct mail. So calling for sale by owners is an outflow thing.
Mm-hmm.
Direct mail is an inflow thing. So what happens is you cast your net, and then the fishies that get stuck in the net get pulled into the boat.
Yeah.
And basically, those calls are handled differently. Those scripts are differently because they're calling you now.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, those two things, which I'm going to go over in a couple minutes, those two things are the best and most lucrative time spent to find hot deals.
Yep.
Those two things are not easy, but they can be done. Okay? I shouldn't even say they can be done.
Yeah.
We teach you how to do it. But if you do those two things...
I don't even think they're hard. I mean, how hard is it to call somebody who has a house for sale?
Honestly, I will tell you that those are just those two things, and I don't even call for sale by owners anymore. We just do direct mail.
Yeah.
I mean, technically... If you do as I explain, and the meetups, I explain it. In the meetups, I explain it step by step how to do it. And I've done it a couple times in some podcasts. I don't remember which ones, but the point is that if it's not that hard. It's not that hard. I give you specifics, where to go find these for sale by owners. Just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, free stuff, and you'll find a bunch of stuff. Find the scripts there. You'll find a bunch of stuff there, right?
That's how I started.
Technically, you can find enough leads just by calling people that you don't even need to do mail.
Yeah. I mean, if you need a cheap way in, but I did it for practice when I was starting out. I wanted to get.
We didn't know back then.
No, well, I did it by accident. Right. I was doing letters. I figured before the calls come in, I don't want to screw up a call, so I went on the internet. What the hell do I know? I'm not a big techie. I just for sale by owner. I found some names and I found a phone number. And I made some phone calls, and a week later we were in a house looking at it. It was good practice.
Right.
But I was actually talking to people.
Next thing on the list is bandit signs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bandit signs is a little bit more broad. It's not a message to market match per se. but it finds the message to market match. So what I do is, instead of focusing on the people or the situations, see, prior to this, we're focusing on the situations. We're looking for people that have certain situations. You know,
like the guy's not living in a house, so maybe
like
he wants to sell it.
Divorce, foreclosure is the biggest one. I don't do foreclosure,
but you can.
Divorce,
it's like pre-screened a little bit. There might be a problem there.
Yeah, like you could use when you're doing direct mail. You could also use. I mean, we use it out of area. That's enough for us. But you can use over 90 days. You can use expired listings. You can find divorce. You can find people that have lis pendens on their deeds because of a divorce.
Legal problems.
Yep. You can find zoning, people that have zoning violations. All these lists are available.
And it just leads to the point that maybe they need to sell. I mean, there's problems. Maybe they're tired to go away.
Right. Tax
problems?
Liens? Yeah, tax liens.
No, well, that's different.
Usually if there's tax delinquency, there's other money problems, so it's a good place to go. So all that stuff is situations. Now what we're talking about is bandit signs. We're actually looking at neighborhoods. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus. And if you do these things simultaneously, what we have found, you and I have found just recently, just this year, you would think that I would know this all these years, but I didn't. That you got to have at least 3 or 4 campaigns running together to be solvent. You got to have 3 or 4 minimum working together. Now, back in the day, I did that, but what I found is that if I just do yellow letters, it's not enough outflow. It's not enough noise.
Yeah. Now, it could be for some of the folks listening who just wants a deal here. I mean, you need, and I want like lots.
Yeah.
So if you just need to do test the deal, it could be enough to get started, or just call
totally.
2 things: call for sale by owners, and then
to make a living and actually have income so that you could support you, your staff, and everybody else, you're going to need multiple campaigns. Okay, so like you said, we're in kindergarten now. We're not trying to talk about high school or college, right? So bandit signs are good because what happens is, which was where I was going with this, if you have a area, if you figure out your farm market, which if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, you can find that there. If you figure out what your farm market is, right? Bandit signs are good because what you should do is you should do bandit signs. You should do yellow letters, right?
In that area.
And then the next one on my list is EDDM, which is Everyday Direct Mail through the United States Postal Service. It's a way you can put flyers in a mailbox.
Oh, right.
We used to do flyers in a newspaper, but the newspapers are archaic now and they not as many subscribers. So you have to put them in the mailbox. Now, the next one on the list is postcards. So, I don't know which one is more important, the EDDM or the postcards. If you're going to do postcards, you're going to do oversized postcards. Honest to God, if you're on Facebook now and you're watching us, the sign right here behind us that says, it's behind me. So why don't you read what the sign says so the people that don't see it can hear what it says.
Yeah, this is a yellow sign that says, "We buy houses. No commission, no closing costs, no hassles, no realtor. You don't have to be a distressed seller or do a fire sale for us to help," and a phone number.
Right.
Big phone number.
So it's a yellow sign with black letters. I've tested all kinds of them. That's the way to do it. So that should be your bandit sign. Right. Read it again, please.
Yep. "We buy houses."
Line 1.
Yep. "No commission, no closing costs. No hassles, no realtor!" Exclamation point.
All one paragraph.
Yeah, that was 2 lines. That was one line, another line. Then next line, "You don't have to be a distressed seller." This is smaller print. Next line, "or do a fire sale," quote, "fire sale, for us to help."
And then a phone number on the bottom.
Big phone number.
And then underneath that, we used to put 24-hour free recorded message. Okay, so that should be your bandit sign. That should also be your EDDM delivery. Okay, that should also be your postcard. That should also be your business cards.
Yeah,
and that's your branding.
Yeah,
because what I found is that if you use my cards are yellow and they look just like the yellow signs. In fact, Emma teases me because when we do website stuff, I want to do yellow and black all the time. She's like, "Dad, that's hideous." I'm like, "That's a brand."
Yeah.
Because what would happen is I would go into a house and I would give them my card, and they'd be like, "Oh, I've seen your signs all over the place," and I'd be in neighborhoods I never even put signs up. They saw somebody else's sign.
Yeah, and
they think it's mine.
A lot of people use the "We Buy Houses" header.
Okay, so you shouldn't have to go this far down on the list, but if you're just a wimp, a phone wimp, and you're a bit introverted, because there's people on this call that are, or people on this that are listening to this podcast that are. If you're an introvert and you just can't get over calling people, and you can't get over texting, which, by the way, I'm going to tell you again, I've given all the text information in the meetup. If you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/courses, or go up to the courses thing, go to the it's called eReam. What does it stand for, Emma?
Electronic Real Estate Meetup.
What is eReam? What is it called?
Electronic Real Estate Investing Meeting.
Yeah, and I actually made this up. Electronic Real Estate Investing Meeting. So it's eReam. So eReam, right? eReam. Okay. Anyways, you would think that I would know that because I made that name up.
You're too busy. You make up more stuff.
The meetups are there. I actually go step by step over the texting. The texting is huge because nobody else is showing that. Okay. So my point is if you can't confront any of that, that's totally fine. Go after the direct mail, the bandit signs, and the EDDM. Right, and that's just go to United States Postal Service or type in EDDM, and it will show you how to do it. Okay, it's so many cents per flyer. You design a flyer. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, okay, and you want to do, actually, I'm not going to do that. I was going to say I have a free report, a 1-page and a 2-page free report on how to sell a house. But you shouldn't really do that EDDM. EDDM is more like if you wanted to do a follow-up, like you wanted to get somebody to request a free report, which we've done in the past. So EDDM will be this: we buy houses, send us your address, or call this 1-800 phone number or this free recorded phone number, and we'll send you a free report. So what happens is by virtue of them sending you the free report, you actually get an address, so you know where the house is. Okay, so now you can do some. So now, if you send out a flyer in EDDM and you say get a free report on how you can buy a house without any fees, without any commissions, without selling with a realtor, blah, and I have this report.
That's pretty fancy,
right? That was written. I mean, it's in 1-page, 2-page, and 4-page format, depending on how you want it to look, right? The point is that they then call into a recorded message that tells them to leave their address and their name, and you'll mail it to them. Okay, so that's some old technology, but it still works.
Yeah, well, you have somebody that may want to sell the house or are selling their house for sale by owner. They don't know how to do it. They just well, let's sell it ourselves. How? Well, we'll just sell it. But there's steps, and if you offer them some way to do it, they should be interested.
Right.
They
raise their hand. They raise their hand, as we say in marketing. They raise their hand, and we know who's. It's like having a classroom full of 40 kids, and somebody raises their hand. They know that they have a question.
Yeah.
Or they're at least paying attention, and they want to continue.
Right. Or have to go to the bathroom.
So let's start over. Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's start over. So 1 is calling for sale by owners. 2 is direct mail, yellow letters. 3 is bandit signs in the right neighborhoods. 4 is EDDM, which is every door direct mail. That's a flyer in a mailbox. Okay. 5 is postcards, and I strongly suggest you use oversized postcards. So the object is to make it a different size in the mailbox so that everybody else's letters get stacked neatly, and yours is not stacked neatly.
So you stand out.
Yeah, you stand out. Okay. Then number 6. Which we do quite a bit of. I haven't done it yet, and I haven't done it yet this month, but I do a lot of this, especially when it gets slow. I'll go to Vistaprint online, and we actually have a card that says, I'm going to read the card to you. The front of the card says the same thing the sign says: I buy houses, no commissions, no closing costs, no hassle, no realtor. Right? The sign doesn't say that. Sell in as-is condition for top price and on the date of your choice. And then it has a phone number that goes to a free recorded message. And then underneath it, it says 24/7 free recorded message on how it works. Then the back of the card says, want an easy sale on a house without a realtor? House needs repairs? ? Little or no equity? ? Behind in payments? ? Divorce? ? Estate sale? ? Out of state owner? ? Vacant? ? Liens? ? Bad tenants? ? Need debt relief? ? Relocating? ? Job transfer? ? You don't have to be a distressed seller or do a fire sale to help with these common problems. And then it has my name and my email address and my phone number. Okay. Now the marketing ones that we do, I don't put my name and my phone number on there. And can you go in the other room and give me one of the cards that we put on the cards? This is actually a card from my pocket because I want to read the back of that. So what we do is I actually go to like a store location, and you have to be careful with this. It's much easier to do nowadays than it used to be. And the reason why is because we actually put them on cars. We go to Walmart. I'm announcing that to the world now, so Walmart can come over here and arrest me. But we go to Walmart, and the way we do it, are there some right here by you found them? Yeah. We go to Walmart, and we actually slide. Yeah, we slide. Thank you, sweetheart. We slide the cards above the door handle, the driver's side door handle, between the glass and the rubber. So when they're unlocking the door, they see the card. Don't put them on windshields.
They won't see them. They'll drive away.
Or they get in the car and they'll get pissed off. They have to get back out of the car and take it off the windshield.
You already start on the wrong foot.
So the back of the card, what I said is you want an easy sale and a house with a realtor and all that other stuff I just said. So it says, all the different ways, needs a house repairs, little or no equity, all that stuff. And then it says you don't have to be a distressed seller or do a fire sale for help with these common problems. What I've done is I text these words in quotations, house for sale to, and I give them a text phone number. Which we actually buy. And it says a live person 7 days per week underneath. So we actually put these cards on cars. And honest to God, it takes me by myself probably a half an hour if I move along to do 250 cards. Okay?
That's good.
With Emma and I, it'll take us, if we're goofing around, it'll take us 20 minutes. Okay? Because she's my daughter. We like to goof around. We're not always business. Or we get into some conversation and we'll have to talk about that.
I have to stop in the middle of the parking lot. He's smoking a cigar. She's saying, no, Dad. He's saying, yes, Emma.
Yeah.
Yes, no, Emma.
Exactly.
Yes, Dad.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's
That's
my
about
point.
where you want to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So here's how it goes. You go to Vistaprint. What I do is I watch Vistaprint because very often they'll run a special and you could buy like a couple thousand cards for like $100. I mean, I think I did that last time. I bought 2,500 business cards for like $99, and I still have them because 2,500 business cards at $200, $250 a week takes a while to use. Okay, that's a cheap way. I mean, that's for $100 you could like get cards out there. What we used to do, which I don't do anymore, because we used to go to. I don't know. I haven't done this in a while, so if it doesn't work, don't send me a support ticket and bitch at me. But it was called Planet Promo. It was Planet, like I'm going to plan something, not Planet like Planet Earth.
IT, plan it.
So it's PLANIT Promo. Okay. And we used to buy business cards that had $20 bill. They look like a $20 bill. And we would fold them, and we would go into places like Home Depot and Lowe's, and we'd go in and we'd drop them around the store, and people would pick them up. Now, what better place to do that than Home Depot, Lowe's, or any kind of place like that? Because there's people in there that are fixing up houses that might want to sell. Okay. Another thing that happens is another thing you could do is go talk to your dumpster guy. a guy that's your local dumpster guy that does dumpsters, and tell him you'll give him a commission. Tell him you'll give him $250 or $500 because what do people do when they get ready to move?
Dump.
They get a dumpster. So a dumpster guy's a great connection, and just turn him into a customer referral. Right.
That's a cool one.
So those are really good. So the last one. So I'm going to read them again. Craigslist. Calling FSBOs. Number 2 is direct mail, yellow letters. Number 3 is bandit signs. Number 4 is EDDM, everyday direct mail. Number 5 is postcards. Number 6 is business cards. Number 7 is customer referral, which I was just talking about with the dumpster guy. So not only is it with the dumpster guy, but it's the guy at the grocery store. But if you're going to do referrals, go to some place, like I said, like the dumpster guy. Another good one would be moving company. Talk to some moving companies in your neighborhood. Another good one would be a U-Haul place.
Yeah.
These are all.
They rent the trailers for people to move out.
If you're going to have referrals, pay those guys more money. Pay them $1,000 or $500. Get their attention because they'll send you good leads. They'll send you qualified leads. Right. So referrals are good. Last one is Craigslist or anything else like that. I could tell you that when we post my ads, and honestly, I ebb and flow with this because when we do all of this stuff, it's too much. We can't handle the phones.
Yeah.
I mean, at this particular point, you and I have been handling phone calls because last week I think I got over 20 phone calls last week. And I didn't, we're mailing, all I did was mail a couple hundred letters.
Yep.
And we've been doing it for like 4 weeks straight, but we've been mailing like 200 letters. That's all I'm doing. I have software, which was expensive, so we don't talk about it. But we actually call people, leave messages on their cell phones, and they call me back. I shut it off. I can't. We have too much. Yeah. And if you were a coaching client of mine, I would tell you, no way, don't do that. Figure out how to do it. But I'm too fat and lazy. I got too many other things going on. You know what I mean? So technically, if you're looking to get in, the first couple, the for sale by owners and the direct mail is enough. You don't need to do this other stuff.
No, and it's not that much money. Some of those other things cost more.
Right.
And really, you're broke. You don't have much money. For sale by owners, it's free. Just call them. Yeah. It's like going around the desert and finding gold or water. It's finding a well in the middle. Right. It's free. They're right there.
So the main point that I want to make before we end off here is outflow. Nature's a funny thing. Mother Nature is a funny thing, right? I don't even know how to explain this. I don't have to explain this. It's just the way it is. The more you outflow, the more inflow you'll get. It's like the pendulum swings both ways. It doesn't just swing right; it swings left too. Right? So what happens is if you outflow, you generate like some sort of a vacuum, and Mother Nature will want to fill that vacuum. And it's just nature. It's like, if you empty a jar with water in it, something's going to, even if it's just air, something's going to get put in that jar.
Bill, my mother explained it to me when I was a child. You probably never heard this one. But we had no air conditioning in the old days in an apartment, so they stuck a window fan in, and it's sucking air out. It's blowing out. And I said, well, how is that supposed to work? I want the cool air to come in. She goes, no, it goes out, goes around the house, and comes in the other window. Why are you laughing?
Point is that if you, I'm not even going to go there. The part is A, that you tell that story, and B, that you just find that it's hysterical.
You're laughing.
I am laughing. That was a good one. Okay, but the point is that
unfortunately it's true.
Outflow begets inflow. So there's no way that
But that's all we're doing, Bill. People.
So the universe, what is it? The universe abhors a vacuum.
Yeah. Like if you have the empty room in your house, how long does it stay empty?
Right.
Boom, all the crap goes in there.
Right. So here's what happens. If you're doing some of these things I'm talking about, like calling for sale by owners or doing yellow letters and not getting enough leads or responses, maybe it's because you have to call more than 3 or 4 people. Or you need to send out more than 25 letters. Okay? If your income if your incoming volume for leads is too low, it's because one of these three things in my world. Okay. Number one, your message to market match is off. Okay. And you're giving messages to people that don't want your message or want your service.
Yeah, but if they do what you just said, you can't miss. That's it.
Now, like back in the day when I was running my marketing company, there was a lot of professional doctors, like chiropractors and dentists and stuff like that, and they were all their main statistic is new patient count, right? And these guys were dentists and chiropractors and whatever, and they were not people.
Oh yeah.
So I would always be a hero for one reason and only one reason, because I would go find the pond to fish in to get the fish. And these guys were like, "Oh, we put a newspaper ad in." Well, if the newspaper has a $40,000 subscription that it's talking to, it delivers 40,000 papers.
Yeah, circulation.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And only 500 of them need their teeth cleaned in that day, then why are you doing that? Right? I'll give you a classic example, just a marketing example, right? Suppose you want to sell weight loss, which is a common thing. A lot of people sell weight loss, right? So you could put an ad in a newspaper, right, and talk to all those people. Or you could be very specific and put an ad in the common magazine that airline stewardesses read. Why? Because for a very long time, stewardesses had weight limits. Now, nowadays, I bet it's discriminatory, but
oh yeah, you can't do that anymore.
The point is that if a majority of them are skinny and some of them aren't, that would be a good place to sell weight loss, because it's just nature, Yeah. So you're better off, even though you're going to not send to 50,000 people, maybe you send to 1,000 or 3,000. The prospect that you're talking to is much more eligible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've already done the work for you. We've already went through the lists. We've already done what we're talking about. But if you want to go reinvent the wheel, go for it. I'm just saying that if you're for a dentist or a doctor, which is not what this podcast is about, the only reason why their marketing does not work is because who they're talking to is the wrong person. Their list is bad. We say that in a direct marketing. Their list is bad. Change the list and you'll be amazed at how you can change a business.
Sure.
Okay. So just talking to people, which I talk about all the time, the 4 simplest ways to get a deal is find and talk to motivated sellers, tell them what you do, find out what's needed and wanted, and then deliver it. And you do a deal. I mean, it's just easily those 4 steps, right? Okay. If that's not your problem, then the next thing, because we're talking about if your volume is low, what do you do? The next thing is you have to have the right message to market match, or you happen to have the right message to market match, but the volume's too low.
But you have the right message and you have the right market.
But you're just not enough volume. Like you can't send 25
so
letters
you
out.
need more.
Or you can't make 3 or 4 for sale by owner calls and not get a deal and say,
Well, it sounds like you're making a quality move on the first one, like get something that should work to the right people, and then you up the quantity. I mean, that's how you do marketing. You find something that works, and then you up it up. Then you up it. So you've already figured what works.
Yeah. So you test it. We do that a lot. When I do direct mail, I'll send out 500 pieces and I'll test it, and then I'll send out 2,000 pieces and I'll test it, and then I'll send out 5,000 pieces. And if the percentages of responses stay the same and I like them, now you do 100,000.
Yeah.
Right. So that I've already done all that work for you. The third thing that you're going to run into, which is a Dan Kennedyism, okay. He says, which is where I got this message to market match. He says there's a triangle for marketing, and on it has a message, it has the market, and it has the media. It's the 3 M's, as he calls it. So the last thing that it could be is that you're trying to buy free and clear houses and trying to text message to the millennials, when you really should be using a direct mail piece, because your best customer is 70 years old.
Right.
Because they have a
if
free
it's free and
house.
clear, it's because they've been there a long time. They paid the mortgage
that's
off.
a bad example, but it's a
it
good
it
illustration.
It makes sense. Like
Right,
some people, you should text.
I'm not going to send Emma a text. She's 23 or 24 years old, and her having a free and clear house is a lot less likely than a guy that's 60 or 70 years old.
Right. She'll see the text, but it won't do any good for her.
So it'll be the wrong media.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with which media you're going to use. So I'm telling you that we figured all that out because I just gave you the list. You don't have to go reinvent that, but I'm just saying that if I have to troubleshoot one of my coaching clients, these are the things that I'm going to go through to find out what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the last thing, bottom line, before we go, just bottom line, raw, right? Out of my mouth, right?
The punchline.
Yeah. Well, it's not the punchline, but I'm going to just throw these things out there because just what I said, if I was troubleshooting a coaching client, this is what I would be
Or your
thinking.
relative,
Yeah, my
close relative.
Yeah, there you go. So bottom line is, if you're talking more than 20 for sale by owners, you're using the script, which is on flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. If you talk to more than 20 people and you haven't made an appointment, you're not following the script. You need to send me a support ticket or you need to get help.
Yep.
And I'll help you.
Yep.
You're not using the script. You're doing something, you're ad-libbing, you're doing something with the script that's not correct.
Yep.
And I have precise things that you could do to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 2, if you've mailed to like 500 people and you haven't preferably bought a house, but at least made appointments.
Yeah, if your return is really, really bad.
Right. Then there's something wrong.
You want to see the letter.
Yeah, so it's not only you've either altered the letter or your response mechanism isn't working correctly. Like in my particular case, my response mechanism wasn't working. We were using Pat Live, and I was having trouble with them, and we changed our response mechanism, and all of a sudden we got deals left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Okay, so something's wrong. Again, I can help you with that if you send me a support ticket and tell me what you're doing. I could guide you in the right direction, at least know where to go look.
Right. So it's essential that when you learn how to do something, you read the instructions 3 times and do it right.
Yeah.
My wife is no dummy, but the first time she did a letter, Mary, you didn't do that right. Why? It's supposed to be like that. Why does it have to be like that? Why can't you just do this? No, it's set to do that. Why? I don't know why. Just do what it says.
Right.
What do you care?
Right.
You have to be smart and right, and then it worked fine. Right. But it was like almost the wrong way. So just follow instructions.
It's very meticulous.
Yeah. I mean, some things have worked. Sometimes we don't know why it works, but who cares?
Right.
It works. If it's pink, do pink. If it's green, who cares?
Right.
If it's yellow, fine.
Especially if you're getting it from somebody like me that's tested it.
Yeah. I mean, I follow successful people's instructions and rules, and I just do it.
Right.
Just why invent things that don't work?
Number 3, before we go, because we're going to leave here in a couple minutes. If you have made or making more than 15 offers per deal, you're doing something wrong.
Per deal?
Yeah.
I mean, on one wait a minute. You're making 15 offers on one deal?
No, making more than 15 offers
to get
per
a deal.
Per deal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you get a deal, you buy a house.
Yeah.
And you're making more than 15 offers to get that house, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, if it takes 15 to close something.
So if it takes you, like I know Kiyosaki promotes, well, I put in 100 offers before I buy a house. Well, there's something wrong with that. I'm just telling you that.
Well, he must be doing it online or just throwing them.
That's okay if you're going to buy ugly houses and you're just going to, blitz MLS and realtors. That's a different strategy. But doing what we're talking about, if you're spending an hour to 90 minutes with a seller in a house and you're not buying it, then something's wrong. So heed my words on this carefully. I will drop the bomb now on you at the end of the show. Okay? And this is powerful, powerful, powerful. So if you haven't bought a house yet, it's one of 2 things, only one of 2 things. It can't be anything other than one of these 2 things. You haven't done enough outflow, number 1.
Sure.
Or number 2, your words make or break your deals, whether you like it or not. So your words are off. It's either in your marketing, your words are off. It's on the phone, your words are off, or it's in the house, your words are off.
Right.
But I'm telling you, as professional or unprofessional or as blunt or as impolite, whatever you want to call me right now, I don't care. Because I'm telling you absolutely no variations, absolutely positively, if you are not buying houses or have not bought a house or are not buying enough houses, it comes down to one of two things. You're not outflowing enough, or your words are losing you deals. Mm-hmm. End of story. There's nothing else to talk about. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. And you need to fix it. Mm-hmm. And you either need somebody like me to help you, like a coach or a mentor to help you, or you need to go do all the research and spend all the money and do all the things that I've done and figure it out yourself, which is fine. Go observe it for yourself and just go do it.
That sounds painful.
And that's end of story. There's no other way to put it.
Yep.
So, back to the title. You flip over the page here. Idiot-proof strategies to find hot real estate deals easily. I think we've done that. Some of these strategies, these 8 strategies I'm talking about, are not hard to do. But you got to do them. The first thing you got to do is you got to get over the first part of the podcast where you think you need to know everything before you can do anything. Mm-hmm. You need to get over that. Go out there and screw up deals. Go out there and make bad deals. The trick is if you're a creative real estate investor like we are, you don't have a lot to invest. You put your $100 in and go screw it up. Worst that can happen is you've got to sell it, it's pissed off at you, and you never talk to them again. Or you run into them in the grocery store and they go the other direction. Big deal. You know what I mean? Get over it. Stop whining. Stop crying. Take your damn diapers off and start walking around the house and be an adult. Okay? That's just what I say about it. Okay? So I think that's it for today's show. What I would like to ask for is, we've really done a good job of listening, practicing what we preach, listening to our reviews and listening to what people want. I think, and I know because of the reviews we're getting, because we're getting a lot more and a lot better reviews, we've made changes. Things like today, technically this is like a course. This is a paid webinar for all intensive purposes, right?
Yeah, it is.
So the stuff that we talk about, I think, is very valuable to people that want to do something, not just want to dilly-dally, that want to do something. So I ask in return for our time, your time, my time, Emma's time, to go on whatever platform you're listening to us on right now and give us a review. If for some reason you want my latest book or any one of my books for free, if you give us a review and send me a support ticket, and I can read the review. You have to tell me where the review is, so we have to go read it and
right.
make sure it's there. I don't care. I don't even care if it's bad. I just want to see that it's there.
We want to keep everybody honest.
Yeah. I will mail you my book for free. So, the latest book I'm selling is $20. In fact, the last 2 or 3 that I did, not only did I mail the book, but I mailed the narration, the DVD or the CD that we have.
The audio.
The audio version of it. I mailed that as well. So, if you need an ethical bribe to go give me a review, there's your ethical bribe. But more than importantly, we put a lot of time into these podcasts, and your reviews are everything to us. They help us. I'm trying to get higher on iTunes. I prefer you go to iTunes and do it so I can get a higher ranking there. But if not, then just send us a review. The second thing is go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, and there's a bunch of stuff there for free. Really, it's stuff we should be charging for, but I keep putting. In fact, I just put some new stuff up there about 2 weeks ago. So even if you haven't been there for a while, you should go check it out and just go see, because we're constantly adding stuff to it. Okay? Thank you for being with us. Thank you for all the support and the patronage that you give us. And we're over and out. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.